This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. The Halftime Show on Pulse 95 Radio, live in the heart of Sharjah. Shout out to everyone who's tuned in around the world, whether it's 95 FM, pulse95radio.net, the Al Marai app, or if you're watching us on YouTube. Boy, do I have a show in store for you today. Because not only have I been a fly on the wall on this person's journey, say it sounds cool as well when you say teacher by day and boxer by night. It just has this kind of ring to it. And I have been that humble witness that has watched her grow to become a professional boxer. Rachel Lally is going to be on the Halftime Show on Pulse 95 Radio. And boy, you don't want to miss this out. So I'm going to give you a minute, a track. A bit of Georgia Smith never hurts. And then once that's done, I want you to be locked in for me for the next hour, because I guarantee you it's going to be a great show on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95 Radio.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. The Halftime Show on Pulse 95 Radio. Every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 3 to 4 UAE time. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my next guest, who is a fantastic human being, a teacher and a professional boxer. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Omar. I'm happy to be here.
It's different circumstances. It's a different environment that we're used to, but it's something that I've been very privileged to see your growth in the world of sport. But I want to take it back to teaching. Now, when we met in the 5-6 years ago? Four, yeah.
21 into 22.
Right.
Yeah.
She's got her dates on point. See, that's a proper teacher.
Let's get the calendar right.
Yes. When we met back then, things were very, very different for you. I want to talk about the teacher side of you. How was that, and where were you at that stage of your life?
Yeah, so I think, I moved to Dubai in February 2021. So it was still in the midst of COVID, and my life was scattered all over the place because when I graduated in Dublin, I moved to London straight away to teach. And I was there for 3.5 years.
Right.
That was, really solidified my career. It was really challenging, but it was so rewarding. But I thought, I'm on to new pastures.
Yes.
So I moved home to Ireland for a couple of months just to kind of spend time with family. Before I moved to Dubai, I had a job secured and all of that, and then COVID hit, and I was blessed really because I got to spend that year with my family, and I lived with my grandparents, and I could take care of them and give back to my community where I came from, because I'd been away for quite a while. And I actually trained to be a boxing coach back home, so I went back to the gym that I started boxing in and was given back that way, but I was not training and all of that kind of stuff. And then when I moved here, teaching was always something that's in my heart because I love to give back. And I think boxing kind of aligns with that as well in ways.
What got you into teaching in the first place?
Well, with every teacher, there's always one teacher that made you become a teacher.
Yes.
So I struggled a lot with mental health issues when I was, 14, 15, 16. And I had a teacher who really, really believed in me. She was my English teacher. And, sometimes I'd just be so tired because I was just wiped with all of the stress that was happening in my life. And she just gave me that time and patience and reassurance as well. Even when my grades weren't good, she was like, you can be an English teacher if you want to be. You can be an English teacher. It doesn't matter really what the grade is on the paper, because you've got the ideas and you can do it. And that's, I was going to change career path altogether, go into business or whatever, but that's always where my passion was, because I could see the impact good teachers have on their students, and it's forever life changing. And I hope at some stage when my students are 30, my age, or 40, or even older than that Miss Lally is on their mind every now and again.
What was the teacher's name?
Miss Muldoon.
Miss Muldoon.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And when you're teaching now, do you see yourself in some of the students that you teach?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I think I was you know, I was academic, but I was also a lot of trouble in school as well.
No way. You never guessed that one.
Yeah, and I actually had the pleasure, when I was living back home in Ireland, I actually had the pleasure to go back to the school I went to as a student to work.
Oh, nice.
So that opened my eyes to like a whole different dynamic, and most of the teachers that taught me were my colleagues.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know.
And
that.
I think there was some eyebrows raised like, oh, you made it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But others, like I got to work alongside Miss Muldoon and other teachers that
Amazing.
changed my life, even if it was just for like 7 or 8 months, and to give back to the town where I'm from and share
Yes.
my story with the students there. So yeah, it was like, you know, for anyone COVID was tough, but you know, you have to look at like the bright side, and it kind of cleared the pathway for a few goals of mine that I wanted to achieve. So
Yeah, and interesting how the universe aligns things. When you think there's a crisis, actually there's something around the corner.
absolutely, yeah.
And what was it like? I'm going to ask you this because I can relate to it. What was it like being in the staff room with them?
The first day was PTSD because I used to have to knock on the door and be like, I have detention. And then I'm sitting there, you know, but actually the principal of the school, he was my principal, and then, you know, he was my boss, and he also always believed in me, and
Nice.
you know, he offered me the job, and the job was kind of like, we work with the transition year, so it's in between like key stages, I guess. Irish curriculum is
Yes.
different to British curriculum that I teach now, but it's a year where students, you know, they do work experience, they do charity work. It's less academic and more like proactive in community and stuff like that. And that was the year that like changed me personally. So I was glad to like be able to coordinate that year, even though we had no trips or anything, obviously, because of COVID. But
Yes.
you know, that's like the foundation year for the students to go into the last 2 years of school. And like I had a blast with the kids, and I'm so proud of them. When I go back to Ireland, when I see what they're doing now, it's brilliant.
That's amazing. I want to touch on something very, very quickly before we go into the break. But you said something there in terms of the importance of mental health. And I know times have evolved and there's a lot more awareness on mental health now, especially from a teacher's perspective, but also from a student's perspective. Has that increased your radar in identifying when someone is struggling with mental health?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like it's the small things. The most important part of my job is the relationship with the students. It's not the delivering of the content. When you have the relationships, then everything else falls into place. And you know, when you know those little things about students, and if you see like when they're feeling off, and that you can have that open dialogue, and I'm happy to say, like I'm proud to say that I am that type of teacher that the students can come to. And and I think it's just that open dialogue, especially around male mental health as well. It's really important, and I'm proud that I can do that for someone, but obviously giving all the time can be hard too, so you have to fill your own cup as well before you pour into others. I've learned that along the way, thankfully.
Yes. Well done. Super, super proud. Quick shout out to your students.
Yes, absolutely. All my students at Des College.
All right. See, there we throw that in there for you guys, just in case you weren't watching. Now you are going to be watching. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95 Radio.
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Now I have to give a quick shout out to Miss Muldoon because I heard a story actually in the break, and they always say the best stories are in the break, by the way, from Rachel, my guest, who was talking about the importance of what she did for her, but also she stuck by her when Rachel was going through a tough time. And for that, I just wanted to give a personal shout out from Pulse 95 Radio to Miss Muldoon, who's unbelievable for obviously having a big influence in this one's life. Okay, right, back to you, Rachel. Sorry, I had to give her flowers there for a second.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now I want to take us to when we met at the boxing gym. Right, okay. So what's that Rachel going through? And at that period, when you step into the gym, because we didn't do much talking there, it was pretty much, actually it's more combo tech.
Yeah, exactly.
if I remember, where we'd come in, you were very consistent, and I would see you there all the time. What's that person now going through?
Well, when I started boxing, I have to take it back a bit, because when I started boxing at 15, I was a sports person, a jack of all trades, so to speak, but I absolutely fell in love with boxing, and I was an Irish champion in the under 18 category, and that was like the best thing I ever did in my life, and I had sworn to myself I would stick to it. Political things in the sport kind of
Put you off a
put
little
me
bit.
off a little bit, and then obviously like I went to university to study, but my health habits just went totally downhill from there until that day I met you in the gym
Right.
in Dubai. My whole of my 20s I neglected my physical health, and then along with that, like obviously your mental health. So
Of
the
course.
kind of same pattern that when I was a young teen, the same pattern was happening again. And then I think I just had an epiphany moment that I was here in Dubai, and I was like, right, I need to make my life for me.
Yeah.
And go back to, I think when you've achieved at a sport on such a high level, it's quite intimidating to go back into a gym because someone's going to spot that you know what you're doing. Even if you just want to get fit, they're going to see, oh, you've got skill, you've got some talent there. Have you boxed before? And that I had no intention ever to get back in the ring. I just wanted to get fit. But I made a promise to myself when we trained together in the gym, I'm going to show up for myself every single day, you know, that 1% every single day. And then that developed into jumping in for sparring, and, you know, and then obviously the journey has gone so much further than I ever could have thought. But at that moment in time, it was showing up for myself. And every single time I went to the gym, it was that idea of that 1% is helping you. Your routine is there, your relationships are more positive, your friendships are more positive, your circle is more positive, and you have more kind of a clear goal on what you want to do outside of the sport as well. You know, I think it gives you that clarity.
Yeah, it's one thing that a lot of people that have known you probably longer than I've known you will say that the physical transformation that has happened since that time when you stepped into the boxing gym till now is remarkable. But the mental transformation, and hopefully I get one of those images of us back in the day when you were training, because I want to clip it on here. The mental transformation, how hard was that compared to the physical?
To me, the aesthetic goals were never a goal for me. I never had the goal to want to look good, or I just wanted to feel me and be strong, and to not have all of these kind of doubts clouding my mind. And I won't lie, as a woman, I sometimes still see myself the exact same way I looked in 2021. You know, I've always struggled a lot with body image and things like that. And I actually took a couple of minutes to myself yesterday because a memory came up when I went back to a normal gym before I went to a boxing gym, and like there was a selfie in the mirror, and I was like, whoa. I was like, I can't believe that was me. And I'm 30 now, and I looked way older then than I do now. And how happy I feel in my life is just like, I'm just glowing in every aspect of my life because of that 1% every day for the last 4 years.
Can I say also, maybe because you still picture yourself the same person as that person who aesthetically looked that way, maybe that's why you're still grounded, and that's why a lot of people still gravitate towards you, because that's another thing that, you know, people didn't see the 1% or the extra time you put in or the sacrifices that you made to get to where you are today. Everyone kind of sees it when it's shiny. No one kind of sees like the lead up to it, and that's why I'm super proud and super happy that it is you that sat here today with me, because it's so refreshing, and a lot of people out there who think probably that might be in one of the stages that you were leading up to now might just get that extra step now.
Yeah, and I think like you prioritize yourself, and if you have the right people around you, they'll also support you, even if you have to. You know, I've sacrificed a lot of time with my friends, my family, birthdays. Even I didn't even celebrate. I didn't even have a 30th birthday because I had a fight that week, and that was my only priority. But that's, to me, at this level, it's not a sacrifice because it's feeding into the bigger picture. But yeah, my message to anyone, and I say it at every press conference, and I try to like share the message, especially for female empowerment, like fitness and all of that. Try not to look at it as a trend, or to, you know, have these like short-term goals to fit into a dress, and, you know, that works for some people, but look at your spiritual health and your mental health and who you envisage yourself to be, and work towards that person rather than just, the holiday pictures in Bali or whatever, although that's great too, because that comes with the journey. But I think my tip as well, that something that I struggle with, is give yourself time to reflect and be proud of the progress that you've made in whatever area that is. It could be sport, it could be your career. Take that moment of reflection before going to the next step. It's really important, so you don't wear yourself out, or you just kind of get fatigued and you think, why am I doing it? If you don't take the time to reflect, then you keep the faith.
Hey, listen, I'm going to give you guys some time to reflect now, because after a segment like that, you're going to need it. I'm going to play you some Pharrell Williams and Beyonce.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Sure is that time. The Halftime Show on Pulse 95 Radio, the award-winning halftime show that brings on the best of the best locally and internationally to suit your earbuds. That is exactly the place to be at 3, and it's with me, Rachel Lally, as well as here in the studio. And I have to say, I've been holding myself back from asking any more questions because she comes out with these nuggets during the break. But she's here now. So, I came to watch you fight in February, is what you said to me. And you've had 3 fights since then, and you've got another one coming up. Before we talk about the one coming up, now that you've been there, a lot of people have an idea, but unless you've been there, you don't know. You get punched in the face, it changes everything. What does it take to become a professional boxer?
This is a question I still ask myself time to time during camp. To be honest, on my pro debut, I didn't really know what I was getting myself in for, because it's not just the fight, it's the showbiz around professional boxing, and also being the only female fighter on every card that I fought on so far. That in itself is difficult to navigate, because you have to learn how to own the space, and be confident in that backroom atmosphere, because that's when the nerves kick in, that's when the testosterone levels of the guys are through the roof, and you have to learn how to keep your center. And I've got better at that. I've got better, and I've actually started to enjoy that adrenaline rush. But I would say my pro debut, I was a fish out of water, I think. But also, I was proud of the job that I did. I was matched up against a fighter, a veteran fighter. She had 25 fights on her record, contended for 3 world titles, which is unspoken for a debut. You'd usually have debut, but I'm never someone to say no, and I'm not in boxing just to win. I'm in it to fight. So that ended in a draw, which wasn't ideal, but also that was a humbling moment for me, where that's okay, you need to knuckle down, because this is not amateur. It's not 16-ounce gloves with headgear. This is the real deal, and you have to be the strongest physically and mentally that you can be. So when I moved on to my next camp, in the February fight that you were at, I had definitely leveled up a lot, and then every camp since then has just been like incredible growth and improvement. But that fight was really hard too. That was my first 6-rounder, and it was a change of opponent like a week before the fight. That's professional boxing. That's what I've learned to also roll with that, because you can't let all of the stress of the event and the matchups get to you. You just have to be there on the night and be the best you can possibly be. So I was really, really proud of that
Nice.
win in particular, especially since the debut was a draw.
Right, and I was there.
Yes, of course. Makes it all the better.
Joke. Now that you've had your fights, you've had your camps, and you've prepared, I think what people don't really understand sometimes is with every fight camp leading up to a fight, you kind of take away something and then put it into the next one, until you kind of perfect your own kind of model. Yeah. So what are the non-negotiables now that you've had a couple of fight camps under your belt and you're going into your 4th professional fight?
For me, diet has been something I've fairly finessed at the moment. I kind of know like what fuels me properly, and you know, I'm happy to have fit meals on board as well. They're supplying me with food for my last 2 weeks of camp because time management and all of that. I'd say that, and I think showing up 100% in your job and 100% in the gym, that's really important as well. And I pride myself in that. You know, I never give 50% to anything. So I think also, you know, not feeling guilty to have to say no to social things with your friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you're exhausted. I might have only one rest day a week, and you know, I'm training as hard as any professional boxer and working full time. So I think rest, recovery, diet, they're the things that if you don't have those components, it doesn't matter how hard you're smashing it in the gym or you're sparring, those 3 things have to be solid. So I think they're the things that have carried forward each time. And definitely my strength training as well. That was always on the back burner until the last 2 camps, and that's totally changed my performance. So yeah.
Excellent. And then now, when is the fight date that everyone needs to look forward to?
This day next week. 7 days out.
This is the only time someone that dangerous can get away with saying it in that way in this studio.
I'm so excited.
She hits hard. Do not be fooled. She hits hard. Okay, that's great. And where can we follow you, or even like find out more about the event? Where can people kind of tune in, or even come in and watch it live?
Yeah, so the event is being organised by Nana's Promotions, and it's going to take place on Dubai World Islands. So it's the first fight on the World Islands, and I'm the main event.
Okay.
Which is a super proud moment in my career. I'm top of the card, and I'm fighting for the UBO international title. So I'm calling it #strap season. Okay. I'm going to have a belt, inshallah, for the first time. So, yeah, and I think follow me over on Instagram at the Bullet Lally. That's my boxing name.
Yes.
The Bullet.
Yes, in case you needed reminding. There you go.
Yeah.
She is the Bullet. No, I'll definitely have that in the show notes as well. In that, and I'm looking forward to kind of celebrating that win. I'm going to manifest it as we speak now, because we've still got one more segment. But we ain't going anyway. We still got one more segment, but I just wanted to, seeing that we mentioned the fight and everything, I thought it was just good to kind of bring that up. And is there your walkout tune?
It's my walkout, and my fight gear is always prepared.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Is it the same as last time?
No, absolutely not. It's a different vibe every time. I'm going with an Irish tune this time.
Okay.
From Chasing Abbey. It's brilliant.
And I guess the only way you'll find that is if you tune in.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Gotta be there.
We'll take a quick break. This next track is by someone that I know, and I put it on the radio. It's called Salam Alaikum. It's a brilliant track. You're going to like this one, actually.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's actually almost full time on the Halftime Show, which I am gutted, because we always have a good time here on the Halftime Show. Shout out to Ahmed as well, who's here in the background. Always entertaining. Love that. And of course, the superstar, Rachel Lally, is here on the studio. I am not joking. I am serious. I told you it is that time of excitement, and we are almost there at the end. But saying that, Rachel, we've got to say, what was, like, with every fight that comes, obviously there's growth, and with more growth there's always goals, and with goals there's so many things. How far ahead do you plan, and how important is that in goal setting?
For me, it's so important. But obviously, when you're balancing sport and work, that can be difficult. But I think it's always, 3 steps ahead of where you are now. That's where you should be planning to be. So, when I'm saying when.
Yes, say it.
Because I'm not saying if, I'm saying when I win the title. That's going to open up massive opportunities for me. There's a vacant world title in my weight division on the UBO, so my eyes are on that. And I think, why not? If not now, then when?
Yeah.
And why not me?
Yes.
Because I spent enough of my life kind of doubting my abilities and things like that, or putting myself on the back burner and not putting myself forward for these opportunities. So why not?
It's your time.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I got to give a shout out to your team as well and your coaches.
Yes.
I know one of them, right?
Yes.
And Jalal, he's top. He's top. He's a very, very good guy. And I really appreciate all the work he does with you, with the teens, with the kids, with his fighters, everyone, Frank, you name it, all the guys behind the scenes. I think it's super important to have the right mentors and the right people there to be able to guide you and also let you be you and flourish in the way the mistakes that you make also shape you. So I think that's another one that I wanted to throw in there because it's super important. We see a lot of people stick with their coaches through growth, and we see a lot of people opt the other way. You've obviously stuck with Jalal and co. How important has that been in the stability of your growth?
For me, the only reason where I am today is because of my coach Jalal, because he's been there through every personal issue I had, in the end of 2024, in the Christmas and the January and February. Both of my grandmothers passed away back to back, and they were the pillars of my life. And I had supposed to do my pro debut like the year before that. It got cancelled, so there was always these obstacles, and he was there all the time, but gently reminding me of my skills and abilities, but never forcing me. And to me, if someone forcing me into something anyway, it never works. Even my parents were always supportive and gently nudging me in the right direction, but I was never forced to do any sport that I wanted to do or whatever. And he's my coach, he's my brother, my uncle, he's my family here, and that's so important. And also, I think when a boxer-coach relationship is one of the most important in any sport, because every boxer is different. So each coach should train their boxer to the boxer's style, not the coach's style. And you can see that sometimes in certain training regimes, or you'd say, oh, okay, they all fight the same. You coach the boxer to their own style, and obviously not be afraid to pick out their weaknesses.
Yes, of course.
And push at the right time.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we just go and get a coffee because my eyes are so red and I'm so tired. But I always show up.
Yeah.
And I'm there, like I have sliders on. If I don't have my boxing shoes on, he's like, coffee? I'm like, I think so. But then sometimes I say no, and he's like, okay, coffee. If someone knows your limitations and they know at the certain times that you peak, and sometimes I always in a camp have to break. So I was sparring with Frank 2 weeks ago, 8 rounds, and I started to cry, and he's like, great, take your gloves off. And I was like, whoa, wait, why? And he's like, that's our goal achieved for the day, because I always have a breakdown point in the camp, and then after that it's peak time.
Yeah.
So and like and all of the team and everyone I train with, we support each other. We give up our weekends to spar with one another, and it's an individual sport, but there's no I in team. So big love to all of my team and my strength and conditioning coach Zoran. He came on board for my last camp, so my win by TKO, I can just put that down to him, because my physicality level from the February fight to June to now, I always kind of put strength and conditioning on the back burner, but it's so important to performance, and to have a strength coach who's, overly qualified as a physio, and he knows how to train combat sports, has been absolutely life-changing for my camp. And also both coaches working together for knowing what my weaknesses are and my strengths, obviously, but you focus on the weaknesses, so that's the only way you get better. But honestly, and I would never switch lanes, and I think loyalty is really important, and the people that are there for you will always be there for you. When times are going good, people can step in and think that they can offer you the world and whatever else, but what's really important is people who care about you, your health, your goals, your everything else. So
yeah, that's fantastic. I'm happy you said that as well, because again, it's another person that we've kind of monitored on here and seen all the great work he's done with with so many different types of people. So many different types of people. All right, so we have reached, I'm sad to say it, the full time whistle. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's been, I can't believe it's over. I could talk for another like 2 hours.
Hey, listen, we might bring you back on with that world title. Let's put it that way. When you win that world title, we'll bring you back on. But thanks so much for being my guest. I really appreciate it, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be a fly on the wall on your journey.
Thank you so much.